Hi everyone, I'm Paige. Thanks for being here. This video is the start of a quilting series on how to quilt. So I'm going to teach you all of the steps from choosing your fabric to the very last step, which is washing your quilt, and everything in between. And this is going to be part one: the pattern, the math, and the fabric. Now for the pattern, I'm going to be teaching you on a 9 square patch. And this is just an example, and the size is an example. You can make it as big or as small as you want to, and you can place the colors wherever you want to. But this is the one that I'm just going to be using for demonstration purposes. In the description box below, you're going to find a link to a printout of a 3-page worksheet that goes with this video. So the first of the papers is a coloring chart, and this is your design paper. So this is where you get to color in any design that you like, whether you want a lot of squares or little squares. It's just yours to customize. The second page is all about the measurements and determining how many squares across you want and how to achieve the right size of the blanket that you want. So it's also showing you the orientation. So these squares are oriented on a horizontal line, and this one is on a diagonal. So when you turn the blanket this way, they look more like diamonds than squares. So this paper will go over all of the measurement aspects of getting your blanket to the right size. And then the last page will describe to you how to get the amount of fabric that you need that's appropriate for your blanket. So it's yardage estimates and then just a brief overview of our seam allowances. So with those 3 worksheets, you will be able to come up with a perfect design and how you want it to look. A quick summary for the measurement help is you'd pick the width of your blanket and how many squares you want to be in your design, and then you would just divide that. So the width of the fabric divided by how many squares will give you the size of your square. And let's say you wanted to have a 50-inch wide blanket and you wanted to have 10 squares. That would mean each of your squares, after it's been sewn, would need to be 5 inches. And the seam allowance is 1/4 of an inch around the entire perimeter. So you would end up with a square that was 5.5 inches after it's been cut. And then when you sew it, it will become 5 inches. The math of the diagonally oriented square is just one step different. So it would be the same thing if you want 50 inches and 10 squares across, then that would be 5 inches across the square. But that's going to be 5 inches on the diagonal. So to figure out the side of the square, you would multiply the 5 inches by the square root of 2, and that would give you the measurement of the side. And once you have the size of the square, you can add your seam allowance of 1/2 of an inch, and then you'll have the size of the square that you need to cut out. So you can use the worksheet to help you in your designing process and getting all of the measurements perfectly how you want them to be. Now we get to talk about fabric for the quilt. But first, let me take you shopping with me. Okay, right now I'm at Joann's and I'm picking out fabric for the quilt. I need 18 fabrics total for my design and the colors that I want, so I went and I only need a fat quarter or less for how much color I need, and I picked out the colors I wanted from the fat quarters, but I wanted other colors too, so I came to this section where they have all the solid colors, and I stacked up my stroller full of the colors that I wanted, and I went and just got them cut. So I got 5 inches of each, and then I got 2 yards of my background fabric. I think that'll be enough, but if it's not, then I'll come back and get more. But this is what I'm going to start to get the main square of my quilt done. There you go, all the beautiful colors. As you can see, fabric shopping is really fun and full of lots of options. The fabrics that I chose are from all different brands and just the colors that I wanted, but they're all quilting cotton. Now when you're learning to quilt, I definitely recommend sticking within the quilting cotton category. They're typically all 100% cotton. Everything is lightweight, it's easy to work with, and it will just make making a quilt really easy for you. When you get home, I definitely recommend that you pre-wash your fabric. Let me take you over and show you how to pre-wash. Okay, to prepare the fabric, before we start cutting it up and putting it together, we are going to pre-wash it to get any of the remaining dyes out. That way when you put something like a red next to a white in a quilt and you wash it, it doesn't bleed and show the dye in the white. So I'm taking all of my vivid colors and putting them in a laundry bag, and I'm going to wash them. And I'm taking my pastel colors and I'm going to wash them in with the vivid colors as well, but just in its own bag so there's no direct contact. And I think these bags help to just be gentler on the raw edges. So I'm going to wash these. First I'll do a cold rinse, and then I'll do a warm to hot wash to get the fabric shrunk as well. So we're getting the dye out, we're pre-shrinking everything, we're going to dry it, and that way any shrinking, any dye is out, and when you wash it, it will just stay as it was when you quilted it. And then I'm going to wash my white after this is done the same way, and probably without the cold rinse, I'll just go straight to a warm to hot wash to shrink it, because there's no dye that's going to come out of it. And that's how you pre-wash the fabric. Okay, now I have all of my fabric washed and dried and shrunk. Everything is good. It looks beautiful. And now I'm going to iron all of it, and I'll fold it back up. So it'll seem really tedious to do this step, to wash everything and dry it, iron it and fold it, when it was perfectly smooth and folded before. But this just helps ensure that all the time you spend quilting is well worth it, and nothing is going to go wrong when you put it in the washing machine. Everything will come out and there won't be bleeding, there won't be shrinking. It will look the way it's supposed to look when it comes out. So just take the time to do this, and it's worth every moment. Alright, now you know how to pre-wash and iron your fabric to be ready for the next step, which is cutting your fabric out. In the next video, I will be showing you how to cut out the fabric, to piece it, and to iron your seams. Remember to click subscribe and click the little bell alert, and you'll be notified when my next video pops up on your feed. And until then, go get your fabric, get it ready for cutting and piecing. I'll see you soon. Bye.